Tim's kinda dumb. Let's help him get smart. It's time to teach Tim stuff.
Hey, welcome to Time to Teach Tim. We got Alex Grubard here, and he is going to teach me
about the presidents.
Ooh.
The presidents of the United States of America. The band.
Oh, the band.
I was ready to do that.
Oh.
I was going to be like, you like PotUSA? And they'd be like, yeah, who doesn't like PotUSA? It's like, it's a band.
PotUSA, is that their official?
That's their official acronym.
I never put it together.
Yeah.
I never put together that all the people that we respect are PotUSAs.
You respect the presidents, the real presidents. I don't know if I respect every single one, but Chris Ballou, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Taft?
Taft.
Was Taft ever a president?
He was president.
He was?
Just not, I don't know if he did any music.
Oh, probably not, though.
Yeah, but, you hear him splashing around in the tub. It's, it's a jam.
He was shaped like a million peaches.
If that guy ate a peach, he would still be alive. My God, I'm sure it was all, fake 20s candy bars or whatever. Yeah. He's also like, from Ohio. Like, they eat like crap, I believe, out there. Yeah. No, do you ever listen? So some of the singles, Lump,
and famously made fun of by Weird Al.
Oh yeah, Gump. Oh,
yeah.
Great, a great one. It's fun. I love that Weird Al parodied what essentially is a goofy band.
Yeah,
they're already funny. At times. I think they're funny. But yeah, they're awesome. I love the Presidents.
Yeah,
they were kind of one of my favorite bands growing up.
I think it was right when I became aware of music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, this is a band and they're funny. Like, I already knew Weird Al.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, and I didn't appreciate Weird Al for what he was as a songwriter at the time and performer.
Lyric writer.
Yeah, well, he does, obviously plays the accordion. We can segue into Weird Al, But he can write songs. He also has these great backing musicians.
Yeah,
that he's been with for 30 years or something, and they write songs. The Night Santa Claus Went Crazy and stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't know they did originals.
They have tons of originals.
Really?
They did a tour, I think twice. I forget what the tour was called, but it was smaller venues, and I don't know if it was acoustic but it was just the originals.
Oh,
because he has a whole catalog of original. I mean, the guy's got 18 albums or something.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a musician for forever.
Yeah, they signed him to, in the 80s, they signed Weird Al to a 17-album contract or something. Something that no one has ever had, maybe before, but definitely since. And that's why he did, when that one came out, I think it was Mandatory Fun, he did 8 music videos in a week, essentially, every day for 8 days. And that was the final contractual album. So he's been putting out albums constantly, partially because he has to. Yeah. He had to do it.
Now, when they signed him, was he an original artist then? And then he was just 18 albums? I'm going to have to do some covers.
That'd be great. No, I mean, famously, his first EP is they don't even have a drum machine. It's just a guy banging on an accordion case, and then he's playing the accordion, and that was the band. And they did I Love Rocky Road and stuff like that. Another one rides the bus. Instead of Another One Bites the Dust. Guy's a genius.
Good. My mom always told me that someone in her high school that she knew married Weird Al.
Whoa!
Yeah. I never knew if that was true or not.
Probably. He's married. He got married
I think
late.
they're divorced now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a shame. That's so strange.
But that was my mom's claim to fame.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess being married to Weird Al is probably pretty weird. Pretty odd,
just the touring schedule alone.
Yeah, exactly. He's always on tour. And, he's rich. I mean, for sure, I think he's got a ton of money.
Also, I wonder what car rides are like with him, where you put on the radio and he's constantly just changing the lyrics.
Yeah, you can't listen to anything with him. You can't listen to Hot 105 or whatever. You got to go to AM radio, sports exclusively.
Oh God.
That would be great.
NPR.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably
He
makes
starts-
sense.
He starts remixing Terry Gross interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I bet he could do some impressions.
Yeah.
I could see, a Terry Gross impression would be pretty solid. Tonight,
Yeah.
I can't. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
What does she
yeah.
even sound like?
I don't know if you did one though. If I don't fall asleep, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I was a big Weird Al guy. But yeah,
Yeah.
Presidents were one of those first bands that I was like, this is a band. This is like
Yeah.
actual music.
And it's like the first of like the President's Beck, like the slacker rock.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, they came out of like Seattle and Boston. I think they were really formed in Seattle, but I think they all had and like so the drummer was this guy Jason Finn, and he's in a ton of like he was a real Seattle guy that was in a bunch of like sub pop bands
All right, yeah.
and kind of in that scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was definitely like in a bunch. I think he was in this. His main band was Love Battery, which has like a bunch of interesting shit. If you like, kind of going deep dive on grunge, that he comes up, and then they were kind of this, they were in that world of like grunge bands, and then yeah, exactly like evolved by the time they made it, like evolved into slacker rock, alt rock.
I never really thought. I guess slacker alt rock. It is kind of like post grunge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I never really thought of it like that. Yeah.
Because even grunge is basically punk.
Yeah.
It's basically like hard punk, not hardcore, but like dreary lo-fi kind of fast lo-fi, kind of thing. Yeah, So Seattle's just got a weird scene, and like a lot of people came out of it that eventually kind of found their own in some other thing.
Yeah.
I went on a deep dive a little bit of the Goo Goo Dolls, because the Goo Goo Dolls actually were in a punk band, like the main guy anyway, but I think the guys that started the Goo Goo Dolls, they had this other band called Tabitha's Secret, and even a bunch of the Goo Goo Dolls like singles hits were actually like this other band first, and then they kind of like lightened up what they were doing. So they have a bunch of like weird punk songs, a bunch of like covers. They have like a cover of Don't Fear the Reaper that's like pretty crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I would never ever put them to that song.
Yeah, it's real. That's why I kind of went on it, because I was like, I mean, so some Goo Goo Doll stuff is like a guilty pleasure for me. Like I love 3 a.m. and then apparently it's actually this other band, Tabitha's Secret, that are like the same members mostly. But it's I was like, oh, this is crazy. The whole other layer of this band that I kind of liked, and then you find this other one, you're like, oh, I almost like this better. It's definitely more appealing than what they wound up doing. Like that's obviously how they would have become famous and like had hit singles, like the
commercialization of Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, right, exactly. But yeah, I was a big Presidents fan, like still am.
Are they like? I only know those 2 songs. Though.
Oh, funny. Yeah, they have probably like 6 studio albums. Yeah, they have like, and then there's a bunch of other. You go on a deep dive and you're like, they have a EP called Froggy Style. That's like the thing that got them signed.
All right,
because I think they were signed to like that first album is like on Columbia or something. Like it's a big label.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't on a big, with how big that album was,
right,
they would have been signed like immediately.
Right, but I think that's part of why it was like they were already pretty older. And so they've like broken up and gotten back together a bunch, and I'm pretty sure they're broken up now. And the main guy, Chris Ballou, he now does a bunch of side projects, like ton. But one thing that really like he makes his living off of now, I'm sure, is I think it's called like Baby Pants or something like that, or Casper Baby Pants, and it's something like that, and it's like children's music.
Oh, all right.
But it's like, so it's like fun. So it's like children's music that like you can listen to in the car as a dad, kind of thing. Yeah. So he's funny. I mean, like a lot of his songs in Presidents are funny.
Yeah.
They barely ever curse, but they so there's like 2 songs where they curse in Presidents. I mean, not Casper Baby Pants. They barely curse with the kids' music. But yeah, they're like basically a clean band, which is one reason why like middle schoolers really like connected with it. You could listen to it. There's no parental advisory.
Yeah, and the radio loved that.
Sure, absolutely.
I wonder if the Goo Goo Dolls would ever put out like a children's album. Would it be like Goo Goo Gaga?
Ah, yeah. No, apparently that guy is kind of like, a dick, I guess. So he's the only like Goo Goo Dolls are still, touring. They have a ton of albums, but it's just that guy. I forget his name, but he's the main guy is still in it, and he's run through a whole cast of bassists and drummers or whatever.
I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Presidents have like 6 albums. They again they have like live albums. They've got B-side albums, that kind of stuff. But I think 6 studio albums. And it's interesting. They also that guy went through a divorce at one point too. Oddly enough, there's a song about his divorce called "Mixed Up SOB," Mixed Up Son of a Bitch, and the video is like Guitar Hero based, and it's directed by Weird Al.
Really?
I think Weird Al directed a bunch of their videos. Wow. Not the early ones.
Yeah.
But like later on,
I wonder if like they formed like a friendship based on that cover.
Probably. I can see that.
That's pretty cool.
Well, Weird Al loved grunge, He did "Smells Like Teen Spirit," "Smells Like" "Smells Like Nirvana" was the song.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Weird Al, I feel like he's West Coast too.
He's Linwood, California, I think.
Yeah.
He's got that album straight out of Linwood.
Oh, right.
So it's like a Orange County.
You have a vast musical knowledge.
I like certain bands. I was thinking about doing the Ramones, and I'm like, I know a lot of Ramones stuff, but like the Ramones, there's books on books of Ramones stuff. Like I've watched like documentaries. I never read like one of the books about it, but where I've read like books on Guns N' Roses, was like a huge GNR guy.
Yeah.
This is all like middle school, high school when I like really was fucking OCD autism about it. Weird Al. I mean, I knew a ton of Weird Al. Weird Al's like he's got 20 albums, and I'm sure I've listened to all of them. Yeah.
My first CD was Weird Al.
Same. My first CD. Oddly enough, probably first cassette was I think Queen's Greatest Hits.
All right.
After like the Mighty Ducks came out, I was hard on Queen. But then I think in like second or third grade, I had a friend who was really into Weird Al. They did we used to have this like lip sync talent show in elementary school.
Yeah. I feel like those don't exist anymore.
It's certain existed at the time.
Yeah.
And how much we cared about it. I remember practicing lip syncing at people's houses.
Yeah,
But
we had choreographed dance routines.
I can still do a Montel Jordan. This is how we do it, because we choreographed it. That stuff, for sure. And then, which is also a banger.
We should start a lip sync.
Sounds so fun.
Yeah,
it would be so good. What would you do now?
Ooh.
I don't know what I'd do.
Man.
I'd probably try and do something hard.
Yeah.
Do you do karaoke at all? Like you got a go-to karaoke song?
What's Eve 6?
Inside Out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you follow that guy, Eve 6?
No.
Max?
No.
On Twitter? He's hilarious. He's
Really?
very political, but he's also just like he tweets at just like any celebrity. Like he always tweets like, "Hey, Kate Middleton, how do you feel about alt rock?" Like he's always going like, do you like?" And he's always going like the Heart in a Blender song instead of, because nobody knows it's called Inside Out, and nobody knows it's by Eve 6. I guess it's just, but you say Heart in a Blender song, and everyone knows what you're talking about. He was like 16 when he wrote that or something. He was a teenager.
Well, I mean, the lyrics alone, really.
I guess that's like the point. But yeah, he's like a really funny guy, and he has all sorts of weird, alt rock stories about like, whoever, slash my tires and stuff. It would be like 3 days. We still don't talk to 3 doors down or whatever. It's like so silly.
I think I remember like something about him writing a book.
Maybe he was writing for Spin or somebody or some other music magazine, because he this Twitter account blew up.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, and he's ridiculous fun writer. Yeah, exactly. He's he's just a funny guy.
Mhm.
But yeah, that guy's crazy. He did a single a while ago where him and this trans musician, they did Sound System by Operation Ivy.
Oh, right.
So he just like does weird shit for fun now.
Yeah.
I think they do Eve Six is like back together. Like they do. I don't know. I think they have an album out, a new one, but they have. I think they've toured or
Yeah,
done some
well,
like side tour, one-off shows.
Nostalgia right now is big.
For sure, it's huge.
So.
Yeah, but he's he definitely sounds like a real goofball. Got sober, all that kind of stuff, and became like obsessed with his Twitter account.
Yeah, that'll happen.
There's a guy. Also, there's an actor who's got like a new Twitter that is like kind of blowing up a little bit. That it's like David Krumholtz or something. He's in like a ton of '90s movies. He's the head elf in the Santa Claus, if you can picture that guy. But he's in. I think he's in like Clueless or 10 Things I Hate About You. One of those.
Yeah.
He's in like a bunch. You'd right. He was in Oppenheimer recently too. It's like one of the.
I'm thinking of the guy from Arrested Development who played Mr. F. Mr. F.
Yeah, right.
Is that him?
I don't think so. No, that's not him.
That's who I see as the main elf.
Uh,
The Santa Claus, but he might have been the dad elf in Elf.
yeah, that's Bob Newhart.
I don't.
You don't know Bob Newhart? Oh man, we should have done Bob Newhart. Button Down Mind of Bob Newhart. He's the guy that came up with the phrase, and I think it would go a little something like this.
Oh.
He invented that.
No, yeah.
You don't know Bob Newhart? I love the Bob Newhart show too. I've like
he had a whole show.
He's had 4 sitcoms. 4 sitcoms. He had the Bob Newhart show, Newhart,
Old Heart.
Old Art. He had like Bob Says, and then I think Bob. Like 2 of them didn't really do well, but 2 of them were hits. Bob Newhart show is like I'm trying to think of what its contemporaries would have been like, but it's he's in Chicago. He's got a fascinating story. He was an accountant in Chicago, and for like an ad agency or something like that. And then
see if I'm thinking of the right person.
He's the dad and elf or whatever. Yeah, he's in a bunch of weird stuff. He's but yeah, he pops up, and he was like best friends with Don Rickles. They were best friends, and Bob Newhart is very clean, and Don Rickles obviously not. But they were like so close. He does like phone bits. Like he's got a Tonight Show where he brings a fake phone so he can like do a call. It's ridiculous. He's very funny. He had the highest selling stand-up album for decades until Dane Cook came out with Retaliation. Yeah,
apparently from 1958 to 1971, he was a comedy. He was a Weird Al.
He was a regular Weird Al. Yeah, no, Bob Newhart's great. And I love the Newhart show. He's Bob Newhart show. He's like a therapist, and it's a sitcom. And then he got another sitcom, I think, in the '80s, late '80s into maybe like '90, and he runs like an inn in Vermont, and he's just very good at playing like the straight man.
Yeah.
They're both of those shows are great. Like Nick at Night watches that I did, but I went through the Bob Newhart show again in during COVID and was like, this is maybe my favorite show.
Yeah, but I have this weird thing where like I know the face of people,
sure,
and like because I don't watch like a lot of movies, I never know their names though.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always like, who's that guy? He was this and that, and like I know their fake names.
Yeah, I got you. I can't watch a movie now without being like, who is that? And I immediately look them up, and I'm like, what's good? Can you believe this supporting actor directed this other movie that you've heard of? Isn't that weird?
Do you have Amazon Prime or Amazon Video? That's what I love about Amazon. Right. It'll show you all the actors in that scene, and you can click on them from there.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that is good. I just go on Wikipedia for everything.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, check out Bob Newhart. It's fun. But yeah, The elf, I don't know. Anyway, these guys with their Twitter accounts. Bob Newhart, I don't think he's on Twitter.
No.
He's still alive though.
Has he ever played a president? I feel like he would be a good president of the United States.
He would be good. Yeah, somebody should make that. Some comedian. He could be president in the next Burt Kreischer movie or whatever. Yeah, I know. Yeah, apparently they didn't love that name when they came up with it after the fact because it's
really?
Confusing.
Yeah,
and it's long.
Very long.
The presidents of the United States of America. But I think that was the point at the time. I think they didn't expect to get big.
Yeah.
They had already been in a bunch of bands and different scenes.
I mean, even the music is very catchy, don't get me wrong, but it's not dramatic or it's not
Nah.
Yeah, there's always literally I was playing guitar for the first time in a long time earlier today. And you can tell bands when they're just trying to have fun.
Yeah.
And they accidentally make it big.
Right.
Because all the songs are so much simpler.
Yes.
And I was literally thinking as I was playing a front bottom song, I'm like, this is so easy to play. And then I was playing a Manchester Orchestra song, and I'm like, oh wait, I forget that there's all these different parts in between the bigger. And I'm like,
yeah, Manchester Orchestra. Mm-hmm. You're playing. I don't even know. Is this a band?
It's a band. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
It's not.
It's you're playing orchestral music on the guitar.
A cello, a violin. I was playing with my feet and everything.
You're like, this is complicated. This isn't easy to do. Another weird president's thing. They tried to invent their own instruments.
Ooh, I like that.
So they play. It's not the lead guitarist and the bassist. They play the git bass and the bass tar. So they essentially added strings to a bass and removed strings from a guitar.
Oh,
is what I believe how they went down.
So a 7-string bass and a 4-string guitar,
something like that. Yeah, there's a song called "Back Porch" that's on that first album, Presidents of the United States of America 1. That is 2-string, 1-string, no string guitar. There's a lyric,
That's
they're just goofy,
Yeah,
they're silly. Yeah. They have a song called "Candy" that I love. That's just all about eating candy, about the devil being made out of candy.
Is that on that first album?
It's also on that first album. I could probably go track to track. That first album. Yeah, Kitty is a single. They also
Kitty's also a band.
Kitty is also a band. I went through, obviously I was big in new metal. Obviously, I was in an era of new metal, which I would consider Kitty to be around new metal. Yeah.
All female new metal.
For sure, which is one of the things that was so great about them. I can't tell you a Kitty song, though.
Oh, God, no.
No, I
can tell you a Kitty story.
You have a story about the band Kitty?
My cousin came up with my aunt. They lived in North Carolina, and we're the only cousins that are the same age. Everyone else is way older or way younger.
Sure.
We go to Tower Records in the city.
Yeah.
And we are allowed to buy one album. I picked out Kitty, and my cousin picked out Dr. Dre or something. Couldn't be further ends of the spectrum. And on the ride home, our parents were like, "Why don't we play?" And I was like, "Oh God, no!"
Y'all know me, still the same old me.
Yeah, so
this is the millennium of Aftermath. Yeah, I love it.
They put on Dr. Dre, and they're like, "Nope." Why don't we put on yours? I'm like, I don't think it's gonna be much better.
Yeah, right.
And then literally played it for 2 seconds. All right, you guys can listen on your CD players.
It is a nice thing to do to be let's play these albums in the car. That's fun. It's wait a minute.
Yeah,
this isn't music. Yeah.
Why can't you like those presidents of the United States of America?
Yeah, you're right. Because the live album just came out and it's not quite as big of a single. Yeah, I mean the second album had a bunch of singles too.
Yeah, I only really know those two, but I remember my sister is where I get most of my musical influence from, and I remember she bought the second album, but it was right around the time she was going through stuff with our family, so she wasn't around as much.
Got you. Yeah, listening to Mach 5, being Volcano.
I don't. She had the weirdest musical. She had this album. I think it was called Chant, where it's all Gregorian chants. It was like this weird album that was popular for some reason
Weird.
around that time. I'll never. The cover had like guys with hoods floating in a sky, and I remember other people having this album and it like blowing my mind. Like, why is this something that people care about?
I never even heard about it. Yeah, that's crazy. Huh.
Yeah, it was weird, very weird. Also, the Beastie Boys.
Sure.
That was she had their early anthology. This is when I found out that they were punk rock first, like
Right.
Egg Raid on Mojo and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue because I had known them from like Intergalactic.
Right.
I knew that. And
That was the
about it.
album for Beastie that I like. In again middle school, like that's when that came out. Couldn't get away from Intergalactic.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember what that album's called though. But yeah, I was never I knew some Beastie singles,
Yeah.
Girls and right, Fight for Your Right and stuff. But yeah, until I found out they were punk, and then even later I did like a bigger deep dive and was like, everything's amazing.
Yeah.
So I still don't get crazy into Paul's Boutique, which is like sacrilegious.
Yeah, I'd see. I never owned that album, so I never got into it. I find that if I don't own an album, I never explore it.
Yeah, I just started going crazy on Spotify and stuff.
Yeah.
Just doing crazy deep dives and stuff.
Are you an album guy or a track guy?
These days I'm a track guy, but I mean I was an album guy. I was talking to Steve Picaro yesterday about remember when you just listen to an album all the way through?
Yeah.
Because I was listening to The Clash and I was like, this is an album that I only listened to the whole album.
Yeah.
I never skipped tracks.
Yeah.
And I was also a guy that I would walk around with a huge backpack that just had a big case of CDs. And that's how I walked around New York City. That's what I did. I barely got on the subway. I was a teenager and into maybe, and then I probably got one of those nanos around 21 and something like that. But up until then, it was all albums all the time. I did a lot of compilation albums, too. Where it's
make your own CD.
Well, that, but also getting I probably had almost every Punkorama. Things like that.
Those are huge.
I loved soundtracks, which they don't even really make anymore.
No.
But I loved just having lots of different stuff like that. Even I was saying, Queen is essentially the D2 soundtrack or whatever, the Mighty Duck soundtrack. So I was always kind of into stuff from movies.
Yeah.
Even in high school, I wasn't doing stand up yet or anything, but I was carrying around a notebook, and if I heard a song I liked, I would write it down.
All right.
And try and find it later. Yeah.
Shazam, I remember being when that came out, I was if I had this when I was 16,
Yeah.
I would know all of music.
Right.
Because I hate it. You always hear a little bit in a grocery store.
Yeah.
Good luck finding out who did that song,
I do that. I do it now at bars and stuff. I don't Shazam, but I just try and go, oh, that's I want to find the song. Here's a lyric. Google the lyric, and it's okay, here you go. And then usually it's all right, so this song, and then I'll get the other 6 songs that are at top on. I mean, I use Apple Music now, not Spotify.
Apple Music, you can search for lyrics right in it now.
Oh,
and it'll show you the song.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I got to do that. Google, I'm so behind the times. I'm Alta Vistaing lyrics and
I'm still calling up the radio.
Yeah, right, exactly.
What was the song you were playing at 12:07?
They're I don't know, dude. Yeah, this is all automated. There's no person here. Yeah.
I met somebody who does sales for AI chatbots, and they were telling me that with the how advanced they are now, pretty much they're running radio stations.
Right. Yeah, I had heard similar.
And it's insane.
What blows my mind, and partly it's on at Lucky's, and we go to Lucky's and stuff, but the MTV Classic, is an algorithm, and that
Really?
nobody is in charge of that. And that kind of blows my mind because it's like it's a whole TV channel. You have an archive of endless stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the algorithm has aspects where it's like it's late at night, play this. But you theoretically could tailor things to holidays and time of day and all sorts of stuff like that. And I don't think they're doing any of that. And that's the only place to watch videos. But it just weirds me out that it's just an algorithm, that it's a whole TV channel that's nothing.
Yeah.
But it's the same as a radio station doing it, really.
Yeah.
They don't even have a fake DJ.
Yeah. And so, like, even, like, I can remember, like, requesting, like, around the President's of the United States of America time, like, calling up and requesting Eve 6, like, 100 times. Because, like, I had my tape ready to go and record it. Because I didn't have it. I couldn't pay $12.99.
Right.
So I didn't have money.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Being a kid.
Being a kid was the best.
Ah.
There was a record store in our town that opened up, CD store, music store, and it was such a big deal because our town was so lame and had like nothing. You had to go a few towns over to go to like Tower Records or Newberry Comics is where we also went in. Strawberries, same goodie a little bit, but Strawberries was a local chain. Newberry Comics was a local chain, and they were like big on that's where you got everything. Comics and weird books and posters and stuff at Newberry Comics. When the CD store opened up in our town, I didn't work there, but like a bunch of my friends worked there, and we just hang out there. And it was, that was the sort of place where it wasn't cheap, but like if you requested, they get something for you. We just knew the guy that owned it, so he was, and he would order anything. He clearly liked that we hung out there. Cannot remember his name, but it's crazy like this, he probably was 35, but I was like, this guy is the coolest dad in town. Yeah. And that's how I got like all the Guns N' Roses stuff and like, he was the man.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 37.
37. All right. Yeah. So we're pretty much same age.
Yeah.
38.
Oh my gosh. It's very close.
Yeah, when you get to my age, you'll see.
I remember taping everything, like doing the tape thing. I have like a very distinct memory of listening to like a tape somebody else made in like the staircase in my middle school. For some reason, like that just is locked in my brain as sort of thing. I remember my buddy Colin got a CD burner for the first time, and it was like, oh my god, this is a gold mine. And then we were already on Napster at the time.
Yeah. I was gonna say LimeWire.
It was LimeWire because did all that stuff.
I remember wanting to download I didn't have cable, I don't think, at the time. And well, maybe there's an overlap with the time where we had internet but no cable. I think that would make sense. When did internet come out?
Like at home?
Yeah.
Like in your home? I think I started going on the internet at home. Probably was over 10, so I mean probably like 97, 98.
All right, yeah, so definitely
something like that.
Pre 9/11.
Which seems crazy that it was like even that late.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre 9/11 for sure.
All right, because we didn't get cable till 9/11.
Man, we're missing everything.
Well, the satellite, the antennas for this area, they were on top of the Twin Towers.
Oh.
So when they went down, like for like a week, we had Channel 7 fuzzy.
Huh.
And my dad was like, well, I guess we got to do something. So we got cable.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, man, I had no idea.
Yeah, when they fell, we didn't even know.
Yeah, clearly, right? Listening to the radio and you're like trying to remix the lyrics. Oh, 9/11, 7/11.
Is that a tit or is that the Twin Towers?
Yeah, right. Oh, man. Yeah. I know. We had cable. I don't know. I grew up with cable for some reason. I don't even know why. My mom was like, yeah, we're doing it. I mean, we had I watched a ton of Nickelodeon, as a kid.
See, I completely missed out on all Nickelodeon.
I was pretty into Nickelodeon. I was pretty much like Nickelodeon and Fox, and then I became like, Comedy Central, MTV, Fox, NBC, kind of like those were the channels that I was always like going back and forth between. I was watching MTV pretty young. Like I remember watching. I think the first music video I saw was I think it was The Perfect Drug by 9 Inch Nails, and I was probably, whenever that came out, 96, 97.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Wild. That's like your first movie being like The Wall.
Yes, absolutely. It was intense, It was like, and I was glued to it. And one of those things where then like I didn't know who 9 Inch Nails were until years later, and it was like, I have seen this. I remember it. It is a core memory, Yeah, I love 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah. So I wanted to download the video for Weezer Hash Pipe.
Yeah.
And I downloaded it, and it was porn. Someone had renamed it, and that was the first time I was ever like, oh my God, you can get porn on the internet.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Oh, man.
Thank God I was home alone when I hit play. And it finally... 3 days of downloading. When I finally hit play, I was like, what the fuck?
I know, yeah. It took forever. I mean, to think of what we could just go like add song, whatever right now, and it's like I spent so long just trying to get like a Master of Puppets or something, and then it's not Master of Puppets because Metallica doesn't let you do it.
Yeah.
Like I remember being like so pissed about that. Metallica was like the most downloaded Napster band. Like that's why they got upset. They were the most. That's what everyone downloaded. People that liked Napster wanted Metallica.
I mean, like now, like I can't blame them, but it's so funny to see like because of them shutting down Napster, kind of what happened.
Yeah,
because that's when people were like, "Oh, well, let's just start streaming."
Yeah,
and then we'll give you money, but we're gonna give you no money.
But right, exactly. I know. I love the idea of like we're gonna take down this one company, and it's like it has nothing to do with the company.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it's so silly. Instead of suing them, they could have been like, we can make Metallica stir. Like we'll make our own streaming platform or something like that. Would have been a much better use of their time and money. But I mean, who has the foresight to do that kind of stuff? But it's just crazy to think like we're gonna take down the Hydra, and it's like a million of these heads are gonna pop up once you cut one off. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I miss like the anticipation that came with that, because now like I don't like. I just found out one of my favorite bands like released an album like a month ago.
Right, I know.
I'm like, oh, I'll check it out when I get to it.
Yeah, I know. Well, now it's so hard. I mean, it's hard because they also don't. It's crazy. Like rock music doesn't really get pushed.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's not in fashion. So you don't. These bands that are still together. I mean, they put stuff out, but I'm sure they're selling tens of thousands of albums, if that. And obviously, people are streaming that album. But even getting the word out is so hard. You have to be really committed to that band.
Yeah.
You got to be like, I don't even know what, on their email list, I guess. But,
Yeah, or you got to follow them on Instagram.
Follow them on Instagram and stuff like that. That's the only way you can really know. Going through the browse category of Apple Music, which is like, who's doing that? I already have 5 gigs of songs,
Also, I have like 10 minutes to listen to music. Do you think I'm going to waste it like on a chance?
Yeah, probably not.
It's like why the radio died, because it's not controllable.
Yeah.
Like so like everything is so I control what I want to listen to. Like that's why I feel like the algorithm is really the only thing that ever shows us anything new.
Yeah, I know a lot of people use Pandora and stuff still because they're like, I see new stuff. I never do that. Or like, people do the mood playlists on Spotify and stuff, and like that's a thing. Like some people that I always think of being like music buffs, they're like, oh, I actually have no idea what any of these bands are and stuff. I have no idea what the songs I liked were because I just put on playlists. And I'm like, oh, that's not how I think about it. Makes sense. It's just not what I do. I mean, I kind of do more deep dives, and then I like listen to. I have like a thing where I don't listen to the same song twice in a day. I like can't do that to myself. I don't know why, but then I'll listen to that song every day for months.
Yeah.
But I can't, once I've listened to where Eagles Dare, I don't put it back on that day.
Oh, see, I will listen to a song on repeat. Like,
I don't do that.
there's this song that it's made its rounds on Instagram and TikTok. Noga Ezra, Views. I've been like obsessed with. I've listened to them play this song live on every different like place they've played it, and it's always a little different. And this girl's got this voice, but she raps, and
that's cool.
It's fun.
You know what you made me think of now? I do a thing where I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch like full concerts of Nirvana.
Yeah.
Every Nirvana concert is pretty much on YouTube, and the footage is like terrible, but it's crazy. Like Nirvana only played it's something like 50 gigs or like 100 gigs. There's like not because obviously, and like you could. There's just a Wikipedia page for every gig, and it'll be like, and it's nuts to be like. Everett, Tacoma, Seattle, Tacoma, Everett, Portland, Everett, Olympia, Munich. They just instantly go to what's that big festival out in England or whatever, like Glastonbury or whatever it is.
Like
you know
Glasgow
what I mean? Yeah, one of those, and that's their like big break.
Yeah,
essentially, and then they're just touring nationally, and then they do international tours, and then it's over.
Stop. Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. And then you look up almost any other band, and it's like they have 5,000 gigs, even if they broke up in like within 5 years or something.
Yeah.
They just it's a different thing. So it's such a weird thing to be able to go. Every Nirvana gig is online.
Huh.
I get into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I discovered that you could do that.
Do you ever go to like a punk rock flea market and then they have like the one guy there who's got like the DVDs of like every concert ever?
For sure.
That guy always like amazes me because it's like a special autism where it's like you can almost like say something and he points like directly to where it is out of like 1,000 cases.
Well, it's just, like you said, it's a special kind of autism. Like I had a buddy who was very much into like archiving, and so he had like a ton of everything, like comic books and stuff. Like one of the before you could like stream music and stuff. Like one of the things he did is he burned, I think, 2 or 3 DVDs worth of music. So it's like it can just keep massive amounts of storage space. Yeah. And that's how I got a lot of like full discographies that I wound up, throwing on iTunes. And that I went through that, it took me years to go through all that music.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just very into archiving everything. And once he was able to like, put comic books and stuff on his computer, he would just, start selling everything on eBay. Where he was like, I don't need the physical copy. Some people need the physical thing. Yeah. But and he was that person, and then became, he just like archive. But he would always say, like, I'm into archiving. I want to have it. I want to have access to it. And like, I know another guy, more the physical copy thing, and I haven't seen him in like a year. I don't know what he's doing as much, but he had an Instagram account that he was pretty involved in called the Wall of VHS, and he just had VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And so I went to his house, lived out in Hackettstown, in the Wall of VHS, Josh Guarino. So he had all this. His house was like going into an old video store. It was like so crazy. Literally, walls. Every wall is just stacks of VHS from floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
And he's like a wrestling guy too, so he would get all this stuff that was like it's not all, released movies. A lot of it is just taped stuff. And he gets all these like crazy commercials, local commercials and stuff like that. And he was into digitizing it and throwing it up on this Instagram account. And so a whole other aspect of, I want to own it. I want to digitize it. I want it to be something that's never been seen really not
Yeah.
before, but like in forever you
Yeah.
can't get, and then putting out the highlights and
Yeah.
stuff. So it was a whole other extra steps of finding stuff. And he would say that some VHS tapes go for like $500.
Yeah.
You just can't find them.
It's a guy I know who's a VHS collector, and he's got some. It's like a rare misprint of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is huge on its own, but because it's this rare it's like something he's got it like in a glass case. It's like $1,000 VHS.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I know, man. It's such a weird thing. Yeah, he would like host movie nights and stuff. I think as like trying to, utilize it in other ways too. Once you have this thing, I'm sure he started selling them off. Because eventually you're like, I'm sitting on $20,000 here for no reason. Like, what's really the reason? Like, I don't think he posts on the IG account anymore. But
that's what there's. Discog is a great website for. I think they do VHS too. They might only do albums though. But I know a friend who used to work in a record store, who may or may not have gotten severe discounts on records.
Yeah.
And he's got a room full of vinyl.
Yeah.
And he's selling it off slowly through that website.
That's a crazy thing. Yeah, Discogs does that. So you ever look up secondhand songs? It's another website. It tells you what who's covered every song. So it's got it's a really crazy site because it's just all. You can find it by song. You can find it by artist. Who's covered them, who they've covered.
Yeah.
And some songs it'll be like, whoa, there 150 people released covers of this song. And it'll be nuts to just go like, man, I didn't know everybody covers Black Sabbath. But I mean, of course, but they all release it.
It's wild when you find out like a song that you like is actually a cover of a song, and you're like, what?
Totally. Yeah, I know. That's always crazy when you're like, yeah, I didn't. But that's even a thing where they used to do that more in like the 60s and stuff. Like everybody, I mean, like folk and all that kind of stuff. Like that's all covers.
Yeah.
If it's, one reason Bob Dylan was such a big deal is like this guy writes a lot of this music that sounds old but isn't.
Yeah.
Where at the time most people were just doing lots of covers and like making it their own, but and they would have originals. But like I love this guy. Here's another kind of tying into that movie thing of going like, who is this person? I want to know more about him. You ever seen Gremlins? Probably. Yeah. So the dad in Gremlins, I thought he was like really funny, and I was like, oh, who is this guy? And so I look it up. Turns out his name is Hoyt Axton. He was a folk singer that became a like kind of country novelty song, artist. And so he wrote Greenback Dollar. He wrote The Pusher. He wrote all these songs that like became folk classics, and they're recorded also by him, but like a lot of his songs are famous by another person because he's just he was in that scene, that folk scene, and was like signed and a big artist, but didn't like stand the test of time, and that his recordings didn't get huge, like some of the covers did. Yeah. But he
also Hoyt. That's a hard name to sell.
Hoyt Axton, Axton.
Actually, that's kind of badass.
Oh, he is awesome. I love his voice. He's he's in Gremlins and he's funny and and like subtle funny where like he's in barely anything else too. And then he has these like crazy novelty songs like I think one is it's something like The Cat, the Dog, My Wife. Like it's like they're really goofy but like kind of seriously done, like it's country music, but they're novelty songs. But I went on like a crazy deep dive of Hoyt Axton. He's just one of these guys. I'm like, this guy is amazing, because his folk stuff, it is like really dramatic sounding. Like his I almost said cover, but his recording of Greenback Dollar is something I listen to all the time. It's so good.
I don't know that song.
Yeah, I think it was done by the big one is by I think the Pretenders or something like that. And they like really kind of like cheese it up, in my opinion. It's they're all singing together and it's very like light and stuff, and he's literally like, I don't give a damn about a greenback dollar, and I'm like, you're the coolest,
It's very Hoyt.
Hoyt.
Axton.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. I don't know. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are great. But yeah, I mean, people should listen to the presidents more.
Yeah. Oh, now give me your top 3 songs that aren't Lump or Peaches.
Lately, I've been listening to the song "Trucks Up on the Moon" a lot. That's off their, I believe, most recent album. There's also, I mean, there's so many. Honestly, there's some of the more fast one. That's like a slower one. Fast one. That's also like a later album. They've got an album called "These Are the Good Times, People," and that's it's got some good stuff like "Poke and Destroy." There's this song. Don't think it's on. It might be on that album. It's called "Some Postman." Some Postman's really fun. It's just like a love song about like some postman stole your love letter that I sent you. Some postman is grooving to all our love letters. It's like just a fun, like you said, catchy.
Yeah.
Could have been one of those singles kind of thing in that world. I'd say some of my big ones though. It was there's a video for it, and it was on that second album. It's Volcano, and Volcano is also just a real fun, upbeat song. That's probably my favorite song off that album. I'm trying to think of another. And then they got into doing a lot of more commercial stuff. So a lot of their songs are in commercials, and a lot of them are on movies and stuff. So like they've got they've covered George of the Jungle for that Brendan Fraser George of the Jungle movie, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
You know, they did. I think
like
Weird Al also did it on that album too. He did a George of the Jungle.
Really?
Yeah. And they have a song called "Man" that is also in like a bunch of stuff, but it's always like a B-side. And "Man's" really great, you know. I started listening to a song that's off that EP, and this is the song I probably listen to the most by them right now. It's called "Fuck California." And so, like, it's one of the only songs they curse in.
A curse in the title of the song.
And it is so great. There's it even has like some humor like that. It's all just about like, you know, it's really like kind of catchy and like fun. They're like, "Fuck San Francisco," and then they're like, "Fuck Fresno," and it's and then it just like gets really fast, and they'll be like, "The only good thing about California is the band that I saw. They were playing in a shopping mall." And it's just a song about clearly they're driving down from Seattle all the time to play in L.A. and they hate it. So they're just like, "Fuck this place, fuck all of California. We have to drive, on I-5 every month to play gigs and trying to
One of my favorite bands, the Wonder Years, has a song. They're from Philadelphia, but they play in New York, and they'd have to take 1 and 9 in because they got the van with the trailer, and they have this. It's "My Geraldine Lies Over the Delaware" or something, and they have a breakdown of the song where they say "fuck Route 9," and like I grew up right off of Route 9, different part of Route 9, but man, when that song came out, I was like, yes, fuck Route 9.
I have recently this happened to me, something like that, where so there's a girl that went to my high school, she's in her early 20s right now, but she is I think her name is Claro, her stage name, and so she's like a pop singer that has like a big following, but she went to the same high school that I went to, and I was aware that this person existed.
Yeah.
But then I was watching something the other day, something came out recently on like Netflix or something, and I watch everything with like closed captioning.
Yeah.
And the song comes up, and it says like "Alewife" is playing, and Alewife is the train station that we would have went to, and it's literally. I had not connected to something so hard in a long time where it was like, I never heard her. Wasn't sure if it was her.
Yeah.
But I saw like "Alewife" came up and I was like, I bet this is by Claro. And it totally was. And then it's all about just driving to Alewife to catch the train into Boston. And I was like, it hit me real hard.
Yeah.
You're like, man, she kills it. You really nailed something there. I am relating really hard. Super funny.
800 people in our town all blast this one.
Yeah, right, exactly. Alewife. I don't know. Super silly. There was another, because I've seen the presidents live a bunch of times. I got a funny, actually, if you got time, a quick president story that ties into comedy. So I've seen them, and they close on another one of my favorite songs. They close on like an extended version of the song "We're Not Gonna Make It," which is like, I think it goes a cover of "Kick Out the Jams," and then "We're Not Gonna Make It," and they're both really quick. And so it almost feels like they tie in together. But yeah, "We're Not Gonna Make It" is a funny funny song. They're like messing up the lyrics on purpose and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all about how they don't think they're going to make it. So they close on "We're Not Going to Make It" a bunch.
That's fun.
Which is fun. And they do like a whole extended version where they like even go through their whole career real fast at one point, and like it's cool. So my buddy Zeke and I've seen him with a bunch of people. A bunch of my friends also listen to presidents. So my buddy Zeke and I were like early 20s, both living in the city. And we went to Bowery Ballroom, saw Presidents of the United States of America on a Monday. And then we were like, trying to grab a beer. So we walk across town to the Village, and we went to what is now the Grizzly Pear, but back then was the Village Ma, and looked exactly the same, basically. But it also had, comedy shows in the back and stuff. That room was a little bit different, but the front bar, exactly the same. So we go in, nobody's there, 0 people. And we're already, we had been drinking at the concert too. So there's like this Irish bartender. I remember she had a thick accent, cool. We're chatting with her. We're hanging out, just, we're having a beer, getting drunk on a Monday. And I remember I had half a beer in front of me. And I was like, this is the last beer I am drinking. I cannot put another beer in my face. And as soon as I said that, Dave Attell walks in with 2 women, and the first words out of his mouth are, "Get these 2 kids another round." And then we're both like, Insomniac was like, maybe just off the air like a couple of years, and we were both just, like, oh my God, like freaking out. We obviously can't keep it in that we're like, oh my God, Dave Attell just bought us a beer.
Yeah.
And so we just like stayed trying to be like cool, but like no one else is in this bar. And so every now and again, it's like he kind of turns to us and he's just trying to impress these like 2 women, But every now and again, he just like turns to us and says something just to kind of be like, they know who I am. And we're like, Insomniac is amazing. And I like on one of my first cell phones, I like got a photo with him. And it's like just a grainy photo of like I'm shit faced, be like Dave Attell. And he was super nice. He was really cool. And like when we left, he was still there. They were still, the 3 of them were still there. And, like nobody else ever came into the bar. And, and my buddy Zeke was like, he's a comic. I had like just started essentially. And he was like, he shook my hand and was like, I'll see you in the clubs. And he was just a really nice guy. And then I lived in New York a few more years, and any time I like saw Dave Attell on the street, which probably happened another 4 or 5 times, he always gave me a look that was kind of like, I think I recognize this kid. And then I did get to open for him at Helium.
Oh shit!
Did a weekend of 8 shows.
Did you tell him that story?
I half told him the story. I like didn't do, even though this short version, I didn't go all. I was like, one time I saw you in a bar, you bought me a beer, and it was like that was it. I wasn't like, I saw the Presidents of the United States of America at Bowery Ballroom. We went to the Village Ma, but it was like, a crazy cool thing. That moment of like, I can't drink another beer, and then a celebrity is like, get these 2 kids another round. Even that phrasing, it was like the coolest thing that had ever happened.
I feel like that is like my history with alcohol. Like right when I'm like, that's it, something happens where I'm like, oh, I have to drink.
Yeah, right, exactly. I get another. Yeah. I know. Someone hands you a beer. Last night, I try not to drink High Life because I hate it, and it like makes me sick.
I would say High Life tastes like there should be something floating in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is.
Yeah,
I hate it, and but I feel like people are drinking it now a lot. It's like back.
Yeah.
So
I think it's
everybody
the
just is
bottle.
like buying it. Yeah, and it's a classic. It's
Yeah.
like been around a long time. Everybody knows. Easy. It's fun to say. High life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's dog shit.
Yeah. Give me the highlight.
It's piss water. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, yeah, man. I recommend hitting some presidents. Grabbing
I think I'm going to.
grabbing some of those tracks. They're fun.
And it's Presidents of the United States of America.
Yep.
That is the full name. Don't go looking for the presidents because you're going to find a movie.
Just type in PUSA.
PUSA.
PUSA. They'll come up. I bet. I think it's PUSA.net is their website. I believe. If we're plugging presidents merch and shit, go grab that stuff. Grab These Are the Good Times People or Poodle Hat or whatever.
Poodle Hat?
I think that's one of them. It's they've got some weird names. I used to listen to the live and B-side album Pure Frosting a lot, which was cool. It's kind of just like it's only frosting. There's no cake. It's it's all bangers.
Oh, I like that because it's what you want. That's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna eat.
Yeah.
Eat the cake.
Hell yeah.
All right. Do you want to plug?
Yeah, that'd be great. I've got if you're into not the high life, but just getting high, or watching people get high. I run a show called Weeding Out the Stoned, the game show of sobriety tests. Got 8 comics. They're all high but one. The audience tries to figure out who that person is by eliminating the people they think are high. I've got 2 shows coming up on 420. Doing Helium Philadelphia at 4:20 p.m. Saturday, April 20th, and 9:30 p.m. at Emmaus Theater in Emmaus, Pennsylvania, in the Lehigh Valley. The same night. So 2 shows that Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great. I've got some headlining dates coming up. So go to alexgrubard.com and you can check out all my shows and stuff. Also, if you're in Jersey and Jersey City, run a show at Pet Shop here in Jersey City every first and third Thursday of the month. That's a free show. People seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's the best hangout show. Come, you'll have plenty of laughs.
And they serve high life and stuff. But yeah, it's a blast. Pet Shop's the best. Petshop.jc. And but I'm Alex Grubard on everything. AlexGrubard. So find me on Instagram and the like. Yeah.
And if you probably already follow me if you're this far into episode. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Tim's mom.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me, man. I much appreciated.
Yeah. I'm going to check out Presidents probably like the rest of the day.
Hell yeah. Tell me what you think. I follow up.
All right.
Tim's kinda dumb, let's help him get smart. It's time to teach Tim stuff.